Well, good evening to Tuesday night. Another Here we go yet again. Good evening, Reggie. Are you well?
Very well, sir. Thank you. Oh,
Yes,
good.
back
He's
from
back.
you.
They all cried.
Yes, absolutely. Steph and Joel both deputising superbly well for you in your absence.
So I believe, sir. So I believe. Thank you,
Yes,
boys.
absolutely. And they're all flooding in. Steph is always with us. Joel also with us. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you again for the last few weeks. Alex Sharp is with us. Ryan Birch, of course, of Super League, Fantasy League distinction at this stage. Paul Sanderson, Freddie McGilvey, to name but a few. They're all flying in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A week where Saints go third and the Lee Leopards become the Challenge Cup winners 2023. Congratulations to all the Be the Raw Brigade.
Yeah, what a great win. What a great game. I'm just sorry I was on a plane home and couldn't get to kept watching it live. I'm sure it was, knowing the result, it's still a great game. I'd love to have seen it as it unfolded.
Drama, mate. Drama.
It goes to show we don't need the so-called Big Four in the Challenge Cup final to make it a great final. Let's hope the grand finals is good.
Let's hope so. I mean, we built it up. We thought it could be a very special day indeed. And it was. I mean, all right. I mean, some have said it wasn't a classic, but it was enthralling. It didn't need to be a classic. It was
what were they
enthralling.
watching? If you don't enjoy that, stop watching Rugby League. As far as
I mean, for me, I think they're on about like the error count and this, that, the other. But quite frankly, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I thought it was absolutely sensational.
Yeah. Like I say, I only feel cheated a little because I didn't watch it actually as it happened. But I was listening to the first half and 10-all at half time, was it? I think because
it was
Hull KA got the penalty.
No, I think was it 10-all at half time? I can't remember.
Either 10-all or 10-8.
I think it was 10-8. I think it was 10-8. I think Hull KA came back, didn't he? At start the second half. I could be wrong.
And again,
it was a
last minute try.
Well, we're going to watch it in a minute. Yeah. We're going to watch it in a minute anyway.
Missed drop goal attempt. It
had everything.
Had everything.
Absolutely everything. It was quite interesting. I was up in just north of Preston in a pod with a few friends this weekend. We ended up in a pub. And it was fantastic because in the pub was Wigan fans, there was Saints fans, there was myself, obviously. The banter was quality, with the exception of one who was a Wigan supporter who wanted Hull KR to win. Everybody else in the pub wanted Lee to win, and they, like me, just could not take their eyes off the screen.
Understandable for a Wigan fan to not be shouting for Lee.
Yeah,
I always remember seeing on the back of a shirt the first grand final we went to, Lee for life, wire for a day. So he goes both ways.
Absolutely.
So I can understand
Absolutely. So we're going to take. In fact, we may as well get straight into the challenge.
Let's do it.
We've got extended highlights of it, so we'll do that. Before we do, let's just give a little bit of self-adulation. 5,655 members now. It's been a phenomenal 2023 for Super League Raw.
It really has.
I think you'd be very disappointed now if we didn't get to 6,000. Ladies and gentlemen who are with us this evening, don't forget, share now. Get your friends and family aware that you are sitting down watching Super League Raw Weekly every Tuesday, 8 o'clock. You know you love it. Spread it far and wide. 5655. Absolutely outstanding. Of course, Greg, you'll have seen that we have took the decision this week. I think it's important that we say it on air. We took the decision this week. There was a couple of people that we've had to block from our site who have been members, some for quite some time, for the pure reason that there was mixed reports coming out of the accident on the M1. Did it involve all KR fans? Did it not? There was a few fans, it doesn't matter what clubs they're from, who, instead of showing a bit of empathy, great obviously to hear that nobody did lose their lives, but rather than showing empathy, decided to be a bit silly. That's not what we're about, I'm afraid.
I did. Yeah, that was while I was obviously.
It was
probably mid-Atlantic, I would have thought. But no matter what the circumstances, no matter what team, let's have some respect.
We're not the forum for those people, mate. It's as simple as that. So we will take that decision.
And I'm 100% behind you. 100%. You know, for all we knew, somebody could have kissed their loved ones goodbye, thinking they'd see him.
Yeah.
quite late again on Saturday night, and that was never for what we knew with the rumours that were unfolding. So if you find that amusing or you want to cast aspersions, then no, I 100% agree with you, mate. 100% agree.
Had to
no
go,
need
mate.
for people like that on this forum.
No, had to go. We love banter. Don't get me wrong, banter's fantastic.
Yeah.
We love a bit of banter if it's done in the right spirit. But quite frankly, there you go. So yeah, if you are joining us for the first time, and I'm afraid to say you crossed that line, we will just block you. You won't be a part of the 5,655. You know, we want good, wholesome fun on this site. You know, kids. We want kids on this site learning a bit of respect. That's the beautiful thing about rugby league. You know, when I was a kid, you go to a rugby league game, and yes, there was banter, but there's always respect, and that's what this site is all about. We want kids to enjoy it.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah.
Right, before we get to the highlights, the big highlights, the big one, of course, the Challenge Cup final. Credit, of course, must go to St Helens. Congratulations to St Helens women's team for their triumphant win against Leeds. Actually, that was a lot easier than many. I sort of fancied Leeds for that.
I thought Leeds were going to win that. Yeah, I thought Leeds were going to win that. Having followed the women's game quite closely over the last couple of seasons for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
I expected that to be a lot closer, and I did fancy Leeds just to sneak that. But fair play, congratulations, a couple of Warrington girls in there.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Fair play to all the St Helens players, and well done. Is Matty Lees the first Challenge Cup winner for the men's and women's game?
Matty Smith.
Matty Smith, sorry, not Matty Lees.
Yeah, we'll get to Matty Lees later.
My brain.
And of course, you know, the 1895 Cup. Congratulations to Halifax. And you know what? We need to find something for that 1895 Cup. Quite frankly, that after the Challenge Cup final just doesn't work. It's as simple as that. It's a shame for those players that they're playing in front of pretty much empty stadium.
It needs its own day.
Either that, or do you make it the curtain raiser at the grand final? I don't know. I mean, I think they want to try.
That's not a bad shout. Although there's calls for the women's grand final now to be the curtain raiser,
which would be more fitting. But that said, all right, you know, if Magic is going to stick around, you know, we know that Magic, there's an opportunity there at Magic to slide it in and let it be a part of the Magic weekend in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I would have it like the old John Player Cup or the Regal Trophy. I'd have it its own day, maybe on the Sunday after the Challenge Cup final. Maybe not at Wembley, where let's move it around.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a shame because, you know, it's kind of takes the shine off it a little bit. It denigrates it a little bit and takes away from the fact that you have won a trophy after all. So yeah, maybe worth looking at and maybe worth giving it its own day and giving the teams their own day in the sunshine, I think.
Can't disagree with that, mate. Can't disagree with that. Right, should we get into some action, sir?
Let's get into
some action. This, of course, the Challenge Cup Final 2023. What a game. Controversy, first thing, you know, Asiati yet again putting himself at risk. And I will say that, putting himself at risk with his tackling technique of his. I think Hull KR were trying to get a little bit of an advantage.
I think Paul Wellens has stirred a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
It's a tackle. It's below the knees. 5 years ago, that's a great tackle.
Yeah.
He has been responsible for injuring a couple of players, but rugby is a sport you can easily get injured in.
Absolutely.
And as Jonathan Davis said in the commentary, he's going to hurt himself before he hurts other people.
Yeah.
You know,
give Kendall credit. I thought he handled this really well.
You know what? I've heard Kendall being slagged off, but I genuinely thought he had a good game. He missed a couple of things, but I genuinely thought that Chris Kendall had a good game and refereed it well. I really did.
Yeah. I thought, like I say, that particular incident, without doubt, I mean, that could have boiled over. He could have got
that's been caused purely by the media, unfortunately.
I agree.
I think Wellens deflecting away from his own performance and deflecting it onto other teams. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, all I would say, mate, if a legend of the game and a quality player at that, Jonathan Davis, is calling it that way, who am I to argue with him?
Exactly. He says it's a fair tackle. It's a fair tackle as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I actually, on the day, thought this was a big, obviously not this one, the second one, the one he missed. I couldn't understand, 2-0 up, he slots this over, no problem. They then get a second one, don't they, where he missed it. And in the next set, and we're about to see it, wonderful try from OKR against the run of play.
Some great tries all around.
Yeah, it was a beautifully executed try, but it came off the back of a misconversion. I didn't quite understand that. You're 2-0 up. I don't see why you go for a second one. This is what happened. I mean, Minchella, he's been doing this all of his career. That's poor from your Pape. He'll be disappointed with that. Yeah. But that's just a wonderful try, isn't it?
Yeah, Minchella, we've sang Minchella's praise. In all the time we've been doing this and he's played for KR, we've sang Minchella's praises. He's a great player. Yeah, it's a good try. It's a really good try. She was loving it, wasn't she?
Hey, they all were. I mean, every time it cut to, it was a party atmosphere because of who was playing. We saw it last year, the Leeds Saints final. We saw Saints. I mean, I'm not having to go here at Saints, but we saw Saints fans leaving the ground before the cup had been taken. The beauty about this final was it was a party atmosphere. Two sides who, were not expected to be there at the start of the season. And
we're not expected to be there after the semi-finals. Let's
No, absolutely, mate.
No, everybody was expecting a Wigan Saints final, and you're right. I think fair play to Hull KR fans. I think they stayed.
Yeah, and rightly so. And you should clap. You should clap your team off if they lose at Wembley. I agree with that. Yeah. Kai O'Donnell coming back. We meant. I mean, me and Steph were talking about this, and Joel last week, mate, while you were away. Kai O'Donnell back in time for the final. Of course, he set up Lamb there. The final.
He had a good game, O'Donnell.
He did. He's a quality player, mate. He's a quality player, no doubt about that. Again, Mikey Lewis. There was times again where his composure, was letting himself down. I mean, we spoke a lot about Jake Connor. I mean, Jake Connor's always been a quality player, but his temperament at the time for me has detracted from his genius. Mikey Lewis is getting into that territory for me.
Yeah, he's taken a lot of criticism, hasn't he, after this game? I think he just needs taking to one side. He's kind of exploded onto the scene, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think he just needs to be taken to one side to have a quiet word in his ear and just calm him down a little bit. He's sometimes he's probably believing a little bit too much about his own press, maybe. But
it's the flaw of genius,
the way he's exploded. We hadn't heard of Mikey Lewis 2 years ago. And he's suddenly one of the names everybody talks about. You can understand that he maybe just needs kind of maybe somebody just to put an arm around him and say, right, look,
Did you think that one was soft on the day?
Yeah, but I've seen them given all season.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, again, calling it straight as I do.
Is this a yellow card?
No, actually, was it? Yeah, I think it was actually.
Yeah, yellow card.
I think yellow card, and I mean, for me, that's an attempted charge down. He's not a million miles away.
No, it's the contact with the head again.
Yeah.
And that's what swung it.
I
thought in a game without a video ref, it's a penalty and nothing else.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I thought it was really unlucky. Really unlucky on the day.
But the contact with the head, and we've seen them not given, to be honest, but we have seen them given.
But it ain't tiddlywinks, is it? I mean, I think we've all seen late challenges on kickers all season. That for me wasn't one of the worst. It was.
And we've seen worse go unpunished.
Yeah, I agree.
You're right. It's not tiddlywinks, but the way the game's going at the minute, mate, it very well might be in 10 years' time.
Yeah,
which is my biggest fear at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's a contact sport at the end of the day, and exactly. I mean, let me phrase that a different way. Do we think there was any intent by Minchella there to damage the player?
No,
exactly.
No.
Yeah,
but he's made contact with his elbow with the player's head, and
exactly.
In today's current climate, you're going to get decisions like that.
Yeah,
we might not agree with it. We grew up with a different brand of rugby league.
Ever so slightly.
Good evening, Mr. Boyd, if you're watching.
Leslie, to his friends.
Sorry, Sir Leslie, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'd love to have 5 minutes with the old brigade, the likes of Boyd, Crooks, and Trick Point, Kelvin Skerritt, Wigan. There's a name for you. Remember Andy Platt, dear me.
Andy Goodyear.
Oh, yeah, bruisers. I mean, they'll be looking at this now and going, dear me, boys, in our day and all that. I mean, there we go. There, that, again, there, Mikey. There, just a little bit of head going. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought Reynolds was lucky here because there's an angle behind that. It doesn't show it in the highlights where he's proper getting his head in there.
Yeah, he does. He does go down with his head, doesn't he? So
yeah. I think he was a bit lucky. I mean, obviously Reynolds we know Ben Reynolds from Magic Weekend has got that little bit in him where he can get it wrong. And like I say, from behind the sticks, there was an angle where he's proper giving a bit of head to Mikey Lewis. Mikey Lewis reacts, and of course, I mean, the penalty went the right way, no doubt about that.
Yeah, there's no doubt that
I mean, look at that there again.
It's
niggle. It's that petulance.
Yeah, and as I say, he needed somebody just to take it was 10-10 at half time, was it?
No, it was 10-8 half time.
They drew it level just after half time.
After here now,
like I say, he just needs somebody just to put their arm around him and have a good chat with him, because I think it's a massive occasion. It could have got to him a little bit. That was the easiest try he'll ever score.
It was it was just a good sweeping move, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
That Lee fan there, has she been on TV? Because she looked really familiar.
Don't know, mate.
Maybe our Lee friends can tell us.
Great outfit, mate. Great outfit. Maybe you've seen her in a shop window somewhere. Anyway, we'll just leave that one there. Anyway,
let's leave that one where let's leave that one right there, shall we?
Yeah, I mean, this here now. I mean, great try. I mean, I was talking about Matty Parcell. I think Parcell, class player. We love Matty Parcell. At this point in the game, Lee look out on the feet, and to lose that try with less than a minute to go. I mean, I felt they deliberated over it far too long.
It just went on forever.
It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. You could tell it was Hardacre who got it.
Yeah.
But I have to say, just prior to extra time, I turned to the missus and went, that's massive. I think, because at the time, OKR just seemed to have more about them. And I really feared for Lee at this point. I thought Lee were going to maybe come out losers on the day at this point. He says a lot about the Leopards team this season, that to lose that try at that point in the game and come back in extra time like they did, phenomenal. Yeah,
this is why I was a little bit sad that I couldn't have watched it actually as it happened, because I think I would have been with you. If I'd have watched this live, I'd have thought, that's it, this is KR's cup.
Yeah. Oh, mate, you wouldn't have wanted to be a KR or Lee fan on Saturday. They must have aged 10 years, a lot of them. I mean, it was just nail-biting stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I was at the semi-final, and that was nail-biting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if they show it on the highlights or not, but I was so relieved when Hull KR didn't find touch, because, I don't know if you've seen the game.
It wasn't a penalty.
It wasn't a penalty. It wasn't reefed out. It was a clear knock on. So I was absolutely delighted. But here it is. Lachlan Lamb, where do you want your statue? Bang. Have a bit of that. Outstanding.
I love the pints flying up in the air. 12 quid a pint at Wembley.
I know. Who cares? Best £12 they've ever spent, mate. Best £12 they've ever spent.
They've ever wasted.
Absolutely. But no, I mean, I think for me, Steph rightly said Hardacre in that extra period. Steph's in the chat. Hardacre in extra time was colossal. I mean,
Derek Bowman, he was that quick. Can we sign him and put him on the wing for next season?
Well,
he was on the floor before Lachlan Lamb hit it.
Mate, it was incredible. I mean, it was incredible. And for me personally, the story. I mean, take nothing away from KR. KR has been on a very similar journey to Lee, but I think the Lee story this year, this has crowned it perfectly. I'm not gonna, I think they're gonna be in the playoffs. They're gonna have a say. Whether they'll have it in the tank to go and really mount a challenge, I wouldn't write them off. I think they've got, as long as they've got too much. As long as they stay fit, they've got so much to give the playoffs.
Yeah.
But even if that doesn't happen, what a season! They're now a Super League, fully fledged Super League side, and who knows where they'll go next year?
Well, maybe if they don't win the grand final this year, you can certainly see it happening over the next 4 or 5 years if they carry on.
Yeah.
That should be a documentary on BBC or whatever at the end of the season, the Lee Leopard story this season, because it's, no matter where they end up in the playoffs, whether they get to the grand final or not, as you say, it's an incredible story. And I think in any other sport, it would have been given more coverage and more kudos than it's been given.
Yeah, and credit as well. I mean, people have been saying about Beaumont in terms, Derek's been getting too much accolades. Hang on a minute, the amount of money that he's pumped into the club, he deserves the accolades. And every single interview I've seen him do, he's deflected back to the squad and back to Adrian Lamb, which is all he can do. It's for me, it's come across as a united effort. I mean, talk today and yesterday that Lamb, and no surprise here, that Adrian Lamb now being considered in the NRL. I just think he's enjoying his rugby league at Lee. I think he feels a part of the family. I don't see Adrian Lamb going anywhere.
Not at the minute. Not at the minute. No. And I hope for Lee fans' sake he doesn't.
Yeah.
And same with Lachlan Lamb. You know what it is. It's agents talk. It's people trying to get salaries bumped up. That it always happens when things like this happen. Yeah. It's why Phil Clark talks about certain players and not others, because his brother's an agent for those players. When they're on Sky TV.
Controversy, sir. Controversy on a Tuesday night. Did you just say that out loud?
Did I not use my indoor voice?
Good Lord. Deary me, sir. Hey, let's move swiftly on. Deary me.
I thought it was common knowledge, sir.
You're reinvigorated after your holiday, sir. You've been seeing too many mice in Florida, my friend. Right,
too much sun.
Far too much. Right. This was announced today. This probably comes as a shock to a few Lee fans. I had it on decent authority that Tyrone May was going to Lee, but right from under their noses, OKR have struck in there to get Tyrone May for 2024. I saw a bit of a graphic earlier and I think it was something like Mikey Lewis at fullback, Gildart on the wing, Hiku and Opachik, Ryan Hall, May and Abdul. Not a bad back line.
It's not a bad 1 to 7, that is it?
It's not bad for 2024, is it? Let's be absolutely honest about
that. If you're a Hull KR fan, you are delighted.
Yeah.
You'd be really
good player, Tyrone May.
I think
he's had a good season.
He's a great player.
Yeah, I think he's had a good season.
Really surprised, and again, no disrespect to Hull KR fans. Really surprised he's leaving Catalan, but when we get players from down under, they tend to like the lifestyle in Catalan. It's very similar to the lifestyle they're used to. It's a great signing, an absolute
brilliant signing. Fair play to all KR, and I think Lee will sign well. I think Lee will strengthen going.
Lee have opened up so many possibilities for players they can sign with that Challenge Cup win.
I agree. And the branding and the brand of rugby they played and all the rest of it.
And it's obviously, it clearly is. And I don't want this to turn into like the Lee fan club, but it clearly is an enjoyable club to play for. The ex-Warrington players, and congratulations to those players who weren't deemed good enough for some reason not fit to play for Warrington. Fair play to them and well done, and congratulations on getting a winner's medal.
Absolutely. 100%, mate. In terms of this man, of course, he's been a breath of fresh air since arriving on our shores. A lot of talk that perhaps he may stay in Super League. There's 4 teams been put out by League Express where he may end up. I think the most likely of those 4 would be Leeds or Catalan, because of course we know Leeds are going to be without halfbacks for next season.
Blake Austin's already at Castleford.
Yeah, and Caesar back in the NRL. So could stay over here. Personally, I think he's been that good since coming over. I think he'll end up back in the NRL. I think he'll be recalled. I don't know about you.
Well, what a whirlwind.
Yeah.
What a whirlwind few games he's had. He's been over 6 weeks, if that.
Yeah.
He's kicked a winning drop goal in 2 games, including a Challenge Cup semi-final. And he's played at Wembley and was a whisker away from winning it for KR. It's an absolute fantastic story. Yeah, I think he will probably end up at Catalan if he stays in the Super League.
Yeah. I could see that. I think Leeds will probably have a little look at him as well. Joel's saying that they've got Clune for next year. So that's in the chat. Joel, pretty confident that Clune's on his way to Huddersfield.
Wow.
Yeah, good signing. And then, of course, on the other side of the city of Hull, this was announced. Herman Sasa is the man. Samoan in New Zealand international. Good, he's a big unit, the lad. 126 NRL appearances, 8 tries. He's made 17 appearances this year for the Dolphins, 34 tackle busts in that time. He averages over 100 metres a game. He averages 8.3 metres a carry, which is not to be sniffed at all. That's high level Super League stature. You know, that's a Monet, Vaughan, Wormsley territory. And he's got a tackle efficiency in defence of 95.8%. So this guy is a great signing for Tony Smith for next season.
I think he is, and you know, you're not many going to get past him, and not many going to stop him.
No, big lad.
Yeah,
big
I
lad.
mean, Hull have a reputation for signing big forwards over the last few years, and they've never quite built on that. And I think you know, he is a unit.
Yeah,
I think he rumoured he was coming to Warrington, and I'm really sad that we've not followed that through and signed him for next season. But good luck to the lad. Good luck to him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It will be interesting to see how he fares. But yeah, looking at how well he's played, certainly this year for the Dolphins, certainly in those early rounds, he's a player. The boy, he's a player. Right. There was a game, of course, on Sunday, and everybody backed Huddersfield Giants for this one. Never write off the Saints, as they say. Saint Helens did really, really well. This first try, Greg. The speed of hands is quite exceptional.
Oh yeah, I mean this is one of those tries that you could quite happily marry.
Beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful.
I mean, you can say the defence there from Connor's a bit weak. He should do better. Jake Connor should really do better than that. But yeah, it's a great try.
George Delaney, of course, while you're away, signing an extension. He's had a fine, breakout.
I must admit, it was like a year's worth of news in 1 week while I was away.
Yeah.
So much was happening. My phone was pinging constantly.
Yeah,
the Tower of Terror, and
we handled it, sir. We handled it.
I'm sure you did.
Here comes Mr. Wellsby. Lovely little loop. We've seen this a few times. Also, all over the shop there. But Makinson going in for number 2. 200 career tries now for Tommy Makinson in this one. All right, here he is. Here's the contentious moment of the game.
There's Morgan Knowles' punch.
Yeah.
And the headbutt's on the floor.
Yeah, it's a bizarre one, this. Don't get me wrong, Paul Wellens came out. I mean, we said this on In the Sheds. Paul Wellens come out and said it's the worst thing that happened to Saints. They're in control at this point. Ian Watson absolutely livid.
That is how Morgan Knowles has not been up before the beak this week is beyond me. We sound like we're picking on Morgan Knowles, and we're not. But he comes in with a punch and then he butts him when he's lay on the floor. I mean, that's a red card in anybody's book.
Yeah, I mean, again, look, the bottom line is, and we know now what's happened. I'll just put that on pause. We know now what's happened. Yeah, the disciplinary committee's come out. Yes, Greenwood was sent off. That was seemed sufficient, £250 ban. Lees, who makes that tackle, has got a 2-match ban that's been upheld by the Rugby Football League. And like I say, Morgan Knowles coming in at the back here, there's a swinging arm. And then, like you quite rightly say, Greg, there's the swinging arm. That's a punch. I don't care what anybody says. And then look at the head. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable that didn't work out a bit worse for Saints. Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, and do you know what? Fair play on Saints for appealing it. You've got, no matter what you say about them, they will defend their players. And if they think there's been injustice, they will appeal it. It's obviously failed this time round, but
absolutely, absolutely, mate. I mean, this was a good try. I mean, Nagama had a fine game against his former side. Kept the ball alive well. Here's Connor's little kick across. Saints will be a bit disappointed with this, I think.
I mean, why is Percival doing that? Why is he still with his back to him like that?
I don't know, mate.
That's just go for the ball. Just don't stand with your back to him. I just don't understand what Percival was doing there.
No, I didn't really see what he was doing. And then, here it comes again, a first half hat-trick for Tommy. And this took some scoring as well. It wasn't completely over. Really, I mean, like I say, Tommy Makinson, I'll just pull your attention here, Greg. When he scores this try, I've been saying all season, as you know, Wellsby here doing what Wellsby does. His knee. He's not kicking. And when he goes down here, watch him when he turns over. Here we go. There you go. Takes a bit. Here it comes. There.
Yeah.
There's something not right with Tommy Makinson's knee. He's not fully fit for me. That's my view. I mean, he scored a hat trick. So I'd like to see him, if he's on one leg, dear God, what could he do with two?
Yeah, we'd like to see him on two. But I think Saints could do with wrestling for a while. They're going to make the top six. Maybe they were playing him because there was a fear. You're laughing at me. Maybe they're playing. What?
Steph, you may as well go there, mate. This was
What's
very.
He said?
This was
what
very,
did he say?
He said Asiata did his knee. Tommy Makinson's knee. But
too soon.
This was, I was pleased for Ash Golding, and that was a very similar try to Saints first. Again, good hands going left to right. Golding's been a good pro. He's had real difficulty with injuries, hasn't he, Ash Golding?
Yeah.
But he's a good player, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And he's obviously he's doing his bit coaching now. So he's obviously kind of looking ahead, looking beyond his playing career, because I've seen him at a few games where he's doing the coaching of some of the kids as well. That's good to see. Yeah. That's great to see.
Massive hole there. Let's just take another look at that again whilst we've got the time tonight. Connor clearly back in to his best at Huddersfield. He's really starting to shine now, Jake Connor. But this little reverse pass, the hole it leaves, and it's actually, Lewis Dodd, who again comes in for a lot of criticism at times from Saints fans. But look at this. Oh, good night. And it's a lovely step on Wellesby as well. Lovely from Kevin Nagama. He's had a good season, Nagama, hasn't he?
Solid. He's kind of been solid, if not spectacular, if you know what I mean. But he's done the job. He's done the job well this season. Yeah.
And then if we thought that the Percival one was bad, how on earth Sione Matautia gets this unchallenged?
McQueen.
They get themselves back to 20 points to 18. They're right back in the arm wrestle, and then they do that. Unbelievable.
Yeah. McQueen, we're big fans of him on this show, but
absolutely,
he's got to challenge for that ball at the very least.
Yeah.
Get nearer to it than he did.
And as sure as Christmas Day, mate, Jack Wellesby scores a try. He's in great try score. He's in great try scoring form at the moment.
And Morgan Knowles was really, really well there.
Mate, Knowles, we said it while you were away. The previous game, which was, God, I'm having to remind myself now. The game that when your first weekend away, which would have been.
Oh yeah,
was it Salford?
Yes, it was
Salford. He had a superb game against Salford. Really, really good game against Salford.
He is a decent player, and when he's on form, he can cause problems for the opposition.
Absolutely, mate. And like I say, I think with the likes of Wellesby, Walmsley, and Parsi out. He's having to step up, and he's got
to step up. Yeah,
he's stepping up. So this is the table. Catalan Dragons a 4-point cushion at the moment. I still think it's not over just yet, but Catalan's certainly in the box seat there. Wigan second, Saints now up to third. As you can see, a 9-point advantage on the Lee Leopards. Then it's Warrington, then KR in sixth position, followed by Salford, Hull FC, Leeds Rhinos, Huddersfield, and then, of course, the big one that we'll be discussing in a minute, Casford against Wakey. We did put a poll out, actually. Let's just have a quick look and see how that poll is doing.
Saw that.
Let's just have a quick look at it and see where we currently are on that. A lot of people enjoying the threads, the post that we've started putting out, old vintage shirts. Who do you see in them? A lot of people getting involved in that and enjoying commenting on who they were. So this is where we currently are. Who do we expect to finish in the top six? 759 votes have took place in this one, which is fantastic.
That's brilliant.
At the moment, Hull FC and Hull KR, I think that's probably a reflection of how many people from Hull are voting on this one. But yeah, they at the moment are the ones that the fans for and believe will finish in places 5 and 6. Hull KR and Hull FC. Interesting. Very interesting.
Very. And they may very well be right.
They may very well be right indeed. David Pider talking about George Delaney stepping up in the absence of Worms. They're very impressed with George Delaney this season. Greg, I'm sure you've been as well.
Well, another academy product who's been given his chance by Saints and Wigan and Leeds find little gems from their academy every season, it seems, where a lot of other teams can't seem to do it the same way.
Yeah, I mean,
he's been
thrust
raps
in there.
Yeah, great raps to the academy and the kind of the way these teams bring their young players through. More teams, as far as I'm concerned, have got to do that and have got to build their academy, build the reserve teams, because this is the future of the sport. These players, and big raps. There's nothing negative I can say about it. It's great to see these young players coming through and given a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he's holding his own. I mean, he's not at this moment in time. He's not doing anything remarkable, but he's had 12 appearances. He's averaging about just under 7 meters a carry, which for a young 19-year-old coming up against bigger fellas, it's a decent effort. Only 17 tackle busts in 12 games. Again, it sort of tells you at the moment, as you'd expect, a 19-year-old finding the way. But the thing is he's gaining valuable experience at 19 years of age.
Exactly, and he's not. If he's made an error, he's not been dropped for the next game and sent out on loan somewhere. You probably know who I'm having a dig at, but you've got to allow these young players to make mistakes and to learn from them. And you're not going to learn from any mistakes if you're shipped out on loan the week after you. Good
to see that you had your teeth in there, sir. Well done. Anyway, let's get into the prediction league. This is where it is. Greg, you'd have missed this course off the back around 21. But here it is. Gary Schofield now leading me by a point. It could be closer. The fans form only 6 behind you. It's very, very tight. We've never had it tighter. It's right there. And of course, every single one of us, the fans form, Gary, me, you, we all went Huddersfield at the weekend.
Yeah, I just had a feeling Huddersfield would win that.
Yeah, well, he didn't.
We were all wrong.
We didn't come out in shining lights there, right? I mean, here we go. We're straight into predictions. Like I say,
it's flying by.
It flies by. It was always going to be a slightly maybe quicker show this one tonight, based on the fact no highlights. Not an awful lot now of news floating about because the transfer window is shut. So we'll be back, I'm sure, to proper form next week in terms of all the usual fare. But anyway, before we get to that, let's start getting into these games that are coming up this weekend, starting with this one on Friday night. And this, for me, is an intriguing game. We've just looked at the league table. We've just looked at the standings. It's fair to say, none of them. I mean, from Warrington down all the way down to 10th, cannot afford to lose any games. Warrington, maybe Hull KR, if they win 2, perhaps that's going to be enough, maybe 3 for KR because they're 2 points behind Warrington. I think 26, 28 points.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Greg?
I couldn't for a while.
Yes, right.
But now you're back. I don't know what happened.
I'm back. Yeah. Apologise. So what was saying there before we were rudely
what
interrupted?
Happened? Did you drop
Gremlins?
out?
No. My system went and then it brought me back. So I don't know. I think maybe little gremlins in the system, but everybody's still with us. That's all that matters. And what I was saying was, Salford 5 games on the spin now they've lost. Huddersfield with 4 games on the spin before going to Saints. Neither of these 2 teams can afford to lose this one. I think whoever loses this it will be quite remarkable if they get into the playoffs from there. It is now a case of must-win games right across the piece. I've not actually looked at this yet, which is rare for me, I have to say. But I think this might be a season where it's the highest points ever to get into playoffs.
Could well be. Yeah, this is both the Giants and the Red Devils, I think, will be disappointed with the season so far. I think both expected to be in a better position. I know I certainly did at the start of the season. I think we both discussed the merits of Giants and Salford in the top 6. I am going purely because it's because they're at home. I'm going Giants 9-17 on this one.
You're going Giants 9-17.
Yeah, just purely because they're at home.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look now. That's interesting. So last year as well. I don't think it was as entertaining a season as this year, but last year,
certainly not for us.
It was 28 points Salford last season. The last time that happened, I mean, like I say, I'm looking down here now, 2, 4, 6. It was actually 30 points in 2019. That was interesting. That's interesting.
That was us, wasn't it? I think that was Warrington.
No, we were 32, Castleford and Hull FC. So I think 28 points is probably. I think if Warrington can pick up 3 wins in the last, I think they should be okay. But like we've said, mate, they have to win these. In terms of who's going where, everybody is now going to Huddersfield with that from you, Greg.
Really 9-17, yeah.
All of us has gone 9-17. The fans forum, Schofield, you, me, we're all seeing it a home win.
Yeah, I think it'll be tight. And I think Salford might even find themselves in the lead at one point during the game. But I think home advantage will tell. As you say, as I think you said earlier, Jake Connor's coming into a bit of form. The Nagama's playing well. I think I just fancy Giants for that one. I really do.
Paul Bowman. Absolutely, Paul. Well done. Giants 9-17 by Stephen Massey. Good evening, Stephen, to you. Ian Justin saying if you're back in Huddersfield, he's definitely back in Salford.
Thanks for that. Cheers.
Cal Bellamy, bring it home, says Steph Sale. Pretty much Freddie McGilvey, no surprises. Uncle Freddie going the Giants 9-17. I don't think we're too surprised about that if truth was to be known. Right, let's get back into it then. The next game that will be also taking place on Friday, here it comes. Well, this one, Wigan Warriors taking on Hull FC. This is an interesting game, really interesting game. Hull, again, I think that we were a bit concerned, though I was concerned for Hull prior to their last outing against Wakey. And, of course, battered Wakey 42 points to 4. They were been a bit in and out. Wigan, though, for me, mate, they're just looking more and more dangerous with every passing week. I can't see past Wigan for this. I'm going Wigan 9-17. I do think Huddersfield might be competitive. Schofield and the fans forum are going 18+ Wigan. Where are you going, mate?
Wigan have just got their act together, haven't they? All of a sudden, it's just gelled. As happens most seasons, if we're being honest. And I think 18+ Wigan. You're
going 18 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Wigan. I thought Wigan last time. I mean, it was a professional.
So the whole of the forum have just groaned and gone, "Oh no."
Well, maybe not. What did you say there? 18+.
18+ for Wigan. Yeah.
You're going 18+. Yeah, you are. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw much of the game against Hull KR. It was as expected, really. An understrength KR. But I mean, Wigan. You can only beat what's in front of them. And I don't know if you caught the show while you were away, but we were discussing and get your view on this. Because that was a 64 points to 6 loss, that has massive ramifications for both KR and for Wigan and for Catalan. Because, I mean, it more than half the deficit that Wigan had on Catalan in terms of points difference. If Wigan were to win the League Leaders' Shield on points difference, that was the game. And Adrian Lamb come out and talks about integrity and respect for the game. It would be a real shame if Catalan were to lose by less than 50. It's 58 points there in that game. I think it'd be a real shame. I think this season deserves to go out in a blaze of glory, even the League Leaders' Shield. I just hate to think that Wigan win it on points difference off the back of that game. Yeah, but that's why we have a squad, isn't it? Yeah. It's. You can talk about as much about the spirit of the game as you like, but that's why we have squads. And you could understand why Hull KR did it. It didn't ultimately pay off for them. So what would they have rather have done? Not lost by as many points, maybe even. Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Yeah. We said that.
It's not ideal, but it's not against the rules of the game. So, they played fringe squad players, bloodied them, gave them a bit of experience. Yeah, it's not ideal, but I can't really.
Well, Lewis Boardman,
not really. Huh?
Lewis Boardman's in the chat. Lewis saying
Go
it's
on.
backfired this for Hull KR.
Well, it has. It has
always
backfired.
Had the chance
And,
to
yeah. That's a gamble. If it costs them, it depends what your priorities are. A Challenge Cup win or top six, and at that moment in time, for KR, the Challenge Cup win was a more, and not now, but was a more possible outcome for the season.
Yeah,
the top six finish. It's
absolutely. All I will say is Wigan won it like clockwork. If Brewdog want to sponsor us for next season, by all means do. May I just say, a very tasty little affair, this one. A hint of tangerines in this
tangerine.
one. Tangerine. A wonderful summer brew. Greg, welcome back, sir. All the best.
All the very best. It's not Mango Unchained, though, sir.
It's not Mango Unchained. And yeah, remember everybody, the grand final, Jolly Boys outing, and ladies as well. Get your tickets for the grand final. Me and Reggie will be in the Piccadilly Tap, probably about 1:30 on game day. Come and join us.
Don't tell me in the 24-hour clock.
Don't
Dave.
give it, Greg, on a 24-hour clock. But get yourself down there.
Tell me in primary school numbers, not secondary school numbers.
Absolutely. The Piccadilly Tap. Get it in your diaries now. Grand final day, 1:30. We'll have a couple of nice Mango Unchains. Make our way down to the stadium, and then back in the tap after for a little bit of a debrief before getting the trains home for more Mango.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Looking forward to that.
Other brands are available.
Other brands, of course, are available. Right. Now we've done our bit of promoting again. If Brewdog want to sponsor us next season,
if they want to sponsor us next year,
by all means do. We'd love to have you. But yeah, right, back at it. Let's get back into the next game. So just to recap there, went off on a bit of a tangent. Everybody's going Wigan. I'm going 9-17. Everybody else going Wigan by 18+. Do you know what? They'll probably be right. But there you go. Then we get to this one. Can Hull KR bounce back after that disappointment at Wembley? I mean, say disappointment. They did themselves proud, of course. They come up against Saints. Saints just going about the business really, really well. No surprises. The Fans Forum and Gary Schofield going an 18+ of here to St Helens. Can KR get themselves back up? Can they get back on the bus?
This is the one game, maybe apart from Wigan, that Hull KR would not have wanted after a Challenge Cup final. They will have not wanted a Saints away or a Wigan away or quite possibly a Hull away. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I think the manner in which they lost the game will take a lot more out of them than people will imagine. Yeah. The emotional kind of disaster, if you like, that they'll have felt when that drop goal sailed over.
Yeah.
And it will take a lot of them some time to bounce back, I think. Yeah. And I'm going for Saints 18+.
Well, I would have gone Saints 18+. I'm going to bring it down to 9-17. And the reason I'm bringing it down 9-17 is because the Matty Lees was upheld. And of course, they've got a lot of big units now missing. That's another one down for this game.
Yeah, I took that into account. But I think even taking that into account, I think Hull KR might prove me wrong. And again, I'm not being disrespectful to Hull KR, but we've seen Warrington won it against Saints, and the actual physicality and emotion of that game. I think they won one game between that from the cup final to the end of the season. They won one game and scraped into the top six. And to lose that game, it's the first final for 5 years, and to be within a couple of feet of winning with a drop goal, and then to have it snatched away. I think the emotional rather than the physical impact of that will tell with Hull KR this weekend, I think.
Well, all I'm going to say is let's not lose sight of the fact that Hull KR beat Saints early in the season, 26 points to 14.
Yes,
so we know they've got it in them. Saints, of course, will want retribution for that. Of course, they will. But yeah, in the spirit of trying to, not have everyone a blowout this week, let's hope that Hull KR takes some supporters down there. Always tough on a Friday night and all that. And let's hope that KR do do themselves proud. But I think Saints, like I say, just really going about the business well. I've got to go Saints 9-17 for that one. But yeah, should be an interesting game. Right. We now come to game of the week. So
there's only one game of the week.
There's only one game of the week, and it had to be this one this week. So let's do the trailer, and then we'll come and have a big chat about it. Here comes the Super League Raw game of the week.
Could be a chance here. Loops the ball wide, and he didn't get his second of the
The stakes could not be bigger. It's absolutely massive. We've been waiting for this one ever since Wakey have gone on their run. It couldn't be closer. It couldn't be tighter. It's not all or nothing just yet, but you do feel the winner of this game could just be the team to stay up. This is just fascinating. Of course, new coaches at Castleford. Lasty, of course, sacked after the last game. New coaching setup coming in. Of course, Austin will make his debut as well. So there's Castleford will fancy this, such new voice in the changing room. Austin, a little bit of sprinkle for them. But of the two teams, Wakey are in the better form at this moment in time. Deary me.
They genuinely went one way and then the other thinking about this game this week, who's going to win. Like you say, I mean, it's a strange one. It's a strange one, isn't it? With everybody was suggesting that Powell might be going back to Castleford.
Yeah.
And that's not happened. And is it right that Sean Long's gone to Wakefield? Did I hear that right while I was away?
Sean Long's at Wake. I mean, unbelievable, mate, that he was sacked from Featherstone while you were away. That was just bonkers.
Well, I genuinely, because of all the rumours that were flying around, when he was sacked from Featherstone, I'm thinking, well, that's the rumours that he's Warrington's new assistant coach nailed on the head. Yeah. And then he ends up at Wakefield. Danny Ward, new coach at Castleford.
Well, they wanted Ward before last. They were massive disappointment when Last got it and Ward didn't get it. Obviously, now they've given it Ward, and he's. I mean, to be fair to Ward, he's done.
He's a decent coach.
He's done his apprenticeship. He deserves his shot. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm still kind of weighing this one up. I really am.
While you're weighing it up, I think this goes to show, and this is the wonderful thing about rugby league. We know we've got a few Castleford and Wakey fans in the forum, but no other game have we had as many comments on in terms of predictions than this one. They've flown in. So let's just go through them.
Go through while I try and decide who.
Yeah, so Freddie McGill, he's going 1-8 to Wakey. Just to let you know, the fans form are 1-8 for Wakey. Gary Schofield 9-17 Wakey. Kieran Unsworth saying he can't wait for it. Should be a cracker. John Wilkinson going Castleford 9-17. Joel Scholes 1-8 Wakey. Paul Sanderson sees it Wakey by 12. Steve Massey Wakey 1-8. Kieran Unsworth Cass 1-8. Steph's just getting the Brewdogs in and deciding. Ian Johnson Casford 9-17. Greg Roach Cass 1-8. Paul Borman says Wakey win, didn't say how much. Darren Soletico, what a great name that is. Wakey really by 6. Ryan Birch, Wakey 1-8. Can see a golden point. Lewis Borman.
That's a good shout, golden point,
Graham Parrish going drop goal, Wakey to win it. Interesting.
Yeah.
JT Morris, Wakey by 6. Saying that Ward's a great coach. Couldn't agree with you more as well. Ian Judson sees it as well. Danny Ward, absolutely the man to get Cass out of trouble. And Anthony Cox, he's going the way of Cass. So more love for Wakey in the chat than there is for Cass. Anyway, I don't know if that's helped you. I'm going Cass. I'm actually going. I'm going Cass. I'm going Cass 1-8. I am.
My first prediction that I wrote down was Wakefield 9-17.
Right.
My second one was Castleford 1-8. And do you know what? I'm going to go with my first prediction simply because it was the first score I wrote down. And I'm going to go Wakefield 9-17.
Joel saying it's a big shout. It is a big shout. That's me, not you, the 1-8 Cass.
You can, Austin and Widdop.
Yeah.
Didn't work at Warrington.
Do you know the mad thing about this? The mad thing about this game for me, if this was at Castleford, I'd have probably fancied Wakey. But because
if it was at Castleford, I'd have gone Castleford.
No, I'd have fancied Wakey because of the pitch. Because
I'd
of the size of the pitch.
I'd have gone Castleford if it was at Castleford.
Would you?
Yeah.
I think the fact that it's at Wakey, especially with the signing of Austin, Eden back. I mean, Greg Eden. He just scores tries for fun, doesn't he? Eden's back as well for Cass. I just think it'll suit them. I just think it'll suit them a little bit. One thing's for certain, mate. I think it's going to be fascinating. I think it's going to be fascinating.
It has got the potential to be a fantastic game or an absolutely awful game. And there's got to be no in between. It's not going to be a decent game. It's going to be a edge of the seat thriller.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be an awful game.
Yeah, like the Leeds Cass game early in the season that Cass just about took. No, I agree. I agree. I think one thing's for certain: you won't be able to keep your eyes off that on Friday night. It's great entertainment for the neutral, and it is. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I have to say, we've been waiting for it ever since. We've had one eye on it, probably
for a few weeks.
Well, yeah, probably after that Wigan game. I think once Wigan, they got the 6 points on the board, but then of course when they beat Warrington, it's absolutely game on now. It's going to be phenomenal. Brian Birch, imagine the scenes. I wish the Giants weren't playing because I would have gone to this one. It's huge because what we do know about these two teams that when they against each other. This is all enough. It really is. I mean, this is going to have a massive bearing because they both, if you look at the run-ins, let's have a quick look at that. We've got a bit of time. We'll start with Wakey. So they play Cass. They then go away to Salford, home to Saints Catalan, away to Lee, home to Hull KR. Personally speaking, after this game, Salford away. Again, depends what Salford.
Yeah,
then they've got 3 games there: Saints, Catalan, and Lee. They're not getting it. For me personally, I don't think Wakey, they're getting anything out of those 3. So they've got 3 shots at 2 points. If they don't beat Castleford, that reduces to 2. Salford away, not going to be easy, and then Hull KR at home. And of course, they'd have to win 2. Sorry, mate, they'd have to win 2 because they'd have to win 2, wouldn't they? Because if Castleford beat them on Friday, they'd be 2 points behind Cass. So the likelihood is they would have to win 2 because of the points difference. So it then becomes for me. It's of the 2. Let's have a quick look at Cass, and I'll bring you in. So they're the Wakey ones. Cass go to Saints. So they play Saints at home. Then they go to Warrington. Then they go to FC. If FC is still in the mix for the 6, that's not easy. Then it's Wigan away. Then it's Leeds away. I'll be honest. Of the 2, Wakey after this game on paper would probably fancy the chances to pick up points more so than Castleford would. But if whoever loses this for me, I think almost £1 million game. This.
I was going to say this is almost like that Salford. Was it Salford Hull KR £1 million game a couple of years ago?
Well, these played £1 million game. If you remember,
I will push. I will put my nose out there and say whoever loses this game will go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I firmly believe that whoever wins this stays up, whoever loses this goes down. And I don't want to upset any of our Castleford friends. I just get my initial thought when I looked at it and saw the teams and looked at form. My initial thought was 9-17 Wakefield, and I'm going to go with that for no other reason. That was the first score that came into my head. But I genuinely believe that whoever loses this game will go down.
I think it's that big. It's that it's all. I mean, I think I put on the trailer that's going on Twitter and going on Facebook. It's all or nothing. Maybe. There's still plenty of rugby league still to play this game. My Lord, are they going to have to put on something? Of course, what we know about Wakey as well. I mean, that win against Warrington. And again, if you look at let's just take a quick look at this as well. I mean, all right, new leadership in. I think it's clear. Same with Warrington with Darryl Powell. I think Castleford weren't playing for Andy Last. But let's just take a quick look at this as well, which is something to bear in mind. I'm going to go back to probably the end of June. So last game in June, Castleford nilled to St Helens. They then lose to Lee. They scored 16 points. They then lost to Hull FC. They lost they scored 18 points. Hull, they scored 16 points, and then they were nilled again by Huddersfield, 28 points to nil. You look at Wakey, and who actually Wakey have played in that period as well. Salford at home won 32 points to 6. They then come up against Wigan, Golden Pointer. Nothing to be ashamed of there, 27-26. Then they played Huddersfield, that same Huddersfield team that did a number on Castleford. They beat them 34 points to 6. Oh, no, sorry, they lost. They lost that 34 points to 6. It was us they beat 42 points to 6.
Yeah.
And then they went down 42 points to 4 against Hull FC. Barmy. But of the two, the one, the team that is at the moment are best showing the better attacking numbers are Wakefield.
Yeah. And it was a fine balance. It's a fine balance looking at both sides. And I think I tipped Castleford to be in the mix at the start of the season. I really did think that Miller and Widdett would spark them into life, and it's just not happened. Maybe Blake Austin.
I cannot remember.
I think I had them at 6th.
Oh, look, here we go. Here we go. I'll tell you now.
Go on.
Maybe 6 or
7. Maybe 6 or 7.
No, well, and here's the mad thing. You had them at 5th. You had Castleford at 5th. I had them outside the top 6. I had them at 7th.
I think I had Warrington 6th, Castleford 5th.
No, you had Warrington 4th, Castleford 5th, Leeds 6th. You had. I mean, God, mate, I had Lee 11th and you had Lee 10th. I mean, what do we know?
Exactly.
We'll come back to that at the end of the season. Right, let's move on to Saturday. The Challenge Cup winners take on the current leaders of Super League, the Lee Leopards against Catalan. I believe that the celebrations in Lee have been pretty robust, and they will have to go some, I think, I can
still hear them from here now. They're still going on.
I think, but then again, saying that, but I was surprised by how the team that they put out against Leeds. I really was. I didn't expect them to be as brave, and it just goes to show that Lee want to fight on both fronts. The side they put out against Lee, the emotion, the partying, everything that went away. I mean, very difficult to back up from a Challenge Cup loss or defeat.
Yeah,
they couldn't have picked a worse opposition to play. The four, and it's not that as well. The emotion. Lee will be sold out on Saturday. It's going to be the Challenge Cup coming home to the Leopards then. So I get even more emotion on Saturday. The Fans Forum and Gary Schofield. Schofield sees it Catalan 9-17. The Forum see it Catalan 18+. I'll be interested to see what Steph thinks on this. I'll have a look in the chat in a minute. I'm not backed against Lee much this season. I am in this one. I think Catalan are a quality outfit. I really, really do. I just think because of the emotional side of it, I'm going to go by 2 scores. I'm going to go Catalan 9-17. Where are you going, mate?
I probably won't be allowed back in Lee again. Back in Lee wants to say this, but I think winning the Challenge Cup could sometimes take more out of you than losing it. And I think I agree with you. And I think Catalan 18 plus. I really do. I think the emotion of the win, Wembley takes more out of players than you think is possible. It drains them. You know, you've seen, it's very, very rare that a team that's appeared in the Challenge Cup final then goes on to win the week after, win or lose. And we've got lots of friends in Lee, and I do apologise, but I think the emotion of the day, and it'll be a party atmosphere, and I just think Catalan will be too strong on the day because of the emotion of what the League players went through last weekend.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Sorry, apologies. I'm sure I'm going to get,
So what score, mate? What score?
18 plus to Catalan.
18 plus.
Yeah.
I'm going 9-17. Let's take a look in the chat. There's a lot of people who've flown in on the chat here for this one. So let's have a quick. Right. So we've got Lewis Boardman. I think Lee will have a hangover from the final and a literal hangover from the celebrations. Steph Sale, not yet. Actually, no, he's just on about the Wakey game there, I think. Lee Bylock dropped goal, Golden Point. Paul Clegg, John Wilkinson, Catalan 10-16. Joel back in Leopards. Paul Sanderson, Leopards by 4. Graham Parish, Catalan 18. Ian Judson, Catalan 18. 2 points, Joel thinks, to Lee. Ryan Birch, Catalan 18 plus. Steph is 1,000 tickets to go. For a sellout. Has to be a sellout, that one. I can't see it being anything but. Benny McGill, Lee 1-8. Kieran Unsworth struggling, but we'll go Lee 1-8. So plenty in there. Steph Sale, Lee 1-8, but he is putting in a caveat in there at the moment. He's inspired by Brewdog, so we'll leave that one on the shelf. Obviously, he's not left the Brewdog on the shelf.
He's not left them on the shelf now.
He's not got home yet. He's not got home yet from Saturday. He's still out.
Upside down behind a telly in a pub near Wembley.
He's watching this in a street somewhere outside McDonald's having a Big Mac. Anthony Cox 9-17 Lee. Phil Hunt 9-17 Lee. I mean, look, it's again great that it's on the telly, and do you know what? We lead this season.
No, I would be. I wouldn't be surprised if Lee won 18 plus.
Yeah, well, isn't it great though to have games on a Saturday at midday?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Around midday, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think it's at 3 o'clock of this, but wonderful.
Wonderful. And do you know what? The first weekend, the first time in a long, long time that Leeds Warrington hasn't been on TV.
How refreshing. How refreshing. Speaking of which, there you go.
Could have been scripted, sir. Could have been scripted.
Leading to it. I mean, again, this is an interesting game. Both sides desperate for a win. Warrington desperate for a win. I think they need probably 2-3 would absolutely clinch a playoff place for Warrington. Leeds. Lot of turmoil. I mean, get your take on that as well now, Greg, actually, whilst we've got a minute. This happened while you were away. Don't know if you caught it, but Blake Austin was sold under the nose of Rowan Smith, and we were having a chat about that. It just didn't sit well with us at all.
He slagged Gary Hetherington off, didn't he, apparently?
He did, but I mean, wouldn't you think that Hetherington would speak to his coach prior to making that decision?
Yes, you would. Like I say, a year's worth of news happened in the time I was in Florida, and it was hard to keep up sometimes. It's one of the strangest moves of the season. Blake Austin to Castleford, I think. Is he on loan? Is he on loan
till the end of the season?
And then he's going. Rumours he's going to. Was it Catalan or Featherstone? Featherstone story to get promoted,
and also by all accounts, it's the odd NRL club as well. That I don't see that. I think he will stay over here.
No, I think if Featherstone get promoted, I think that's his likeliest destination.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sit well, does it, when the owner sells a player under the coach's nose? That's it's not good. It's not good.
It's not good, mate. It's not good. Leeds, of course, off the back of a 3-game losing streak. They've had a lot of hard luck, actually, in that period. They only lost by a point to Hull KR. They lost by 4 points to St Helens. And then, of course, they lost to Lee by 7. Warrington, of course, on a horrendous losing streak. But, of course, Gary Chambers, Richie Marshall and Martin Gleeson, of course, back at the club in an advisory capacity in terms of attacking. And by all accounts, the players have really warmed to his philosophies around attacking. That'll be interesting to see as well. So, again, both sides desperate for a win. They need to kickstart some sort of momentum if they're going to be anywhere near competitive come the playoffs. I'm going Warrington 9-17. The fans forum are going Leeds 9-17, and Gary Schofield is going Leeds 1-8. Where are you going, mate?
I'm going I'm going to the game because I'll be covering the women's game beforehand. Leeds versus Warrington. Hopefully, my daughter's playing, but Warrington are in an awful mess. They're in an awful mess. I mean, you've probably discussed ad nauseum while I've been away the situation we find ourselves in. I think Leeds 9-17.
Okay.
Warrington are. I think we have to write this season off, I'm afraid.
Well, obviously, Sam Burgess has been announced whilst you've been gone. We haven't had your take on that yet. Go on, Sam Burgess.
Do you know what? I am glad I was away, and I'm glad we didn't speak about this kind of in the heat of the moment, because I've had time to reflect on it and time to think about it. A couple of things that kind of don't sit well with me. The fact that we said we were going to take our time to appoint a coach, and then once Justin Holbrook had turned us down, 3 days later, Sam Burgess was appointed. At the time, I thought it was a massive marketing gig aimed at getting, news coverage rather than success. But I've had time to reflect on it, think about it, and I give him a go. We've had a tried and tested coach in Darryl Powell. Let's give him a go. And I'm talking to myself. Hello, was I talking to myself? Put your mic on, mate. I can't hear you. You're talking to yourself now.
Yeah, Gremlins have come back on, so I switched over watching it on Facebook and
was I talking to myself then?
No, you're on Facebook, mate. For some reason, I've had a few Gremlins tonight. But no, I agree with you.
Like I say, when it first happened, let's face it, an Australian getting homesick before he gets to the airport is a record even for Warrington. But Holbrook, when I heard that Holbrook had agreed a deal, I was made up, absolutely delighted. And then it transpired that for family reasons and fair play, he turned us down.
Yeah.
And what I thought we should have done, and at the back of my head I still do, I think we should have waited to the end of the season. We'd given Gary Chambers and Richard Marshall the gig till the end of the season. I think we should have waited till the end of the season and see what happens. If McNamara wins the grand final with Catalan, does he want a fresh challenge once the season is over? Does he want a project? Would he see Warrington as that project? What will happen with other clubs in the NRL once the season's finished? So my preference would have been, Warrington said they were going to take their time to do the due diligence, and that's not easy to say, and appoint the right man for the job. And then 3 or 4 days after Justin Holbrook turns us down, Sam Burgess is appointed. And as I say, at the time, I thought it was just a big marketing thing that we're getting headlines. But the more I've thought about it, the more I read about it, I'm thinking, well, do you know what? Let's give Sam Burgess a chance. I would have loved Sean Long to have been his assistant, because I think Sean Long could have brought the best out of our young halfbacks. Riley Dean, he would have benefited his kicking game would have benefited from Sean Long. So let's give Sam Burgess a chance. And let's face it, it can't. Well, it could, but I'd like to think it couldn't get any worse than it's been over the last 2 years.
Well, I mean, obviously, as you know, I spoke to Gary Chambers last week, which was unexpected but happy days.
I like Gary Chambers. He's a decent
really
guy.
dead straight,
Warrington through and through.
Dead straight. It was brilliant. Absolutely, he was first class, and he was talking to me both on and off camera in terms of Sam Burgess. And I think, like you at first, it's like, woo. But actually, this is a guy who has been touted as a future coach of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Yeah. If you listen to the NRL, the press in the NRL, they're all backing him. Every one of them. I mean, James Graham was almost in tears talking about it. Because they see Sam the coach, and Gary Chambers was very quick to say, look, forget Sam the player. We need to start talking about Sam the coach. And the level of detail, by all accounts, he's on the phone. He's had one-to-ones with every player. And Gary Chambers said each player have come off that phone as if they're 10 foot tall. The guy's a motivator. He knows how to get people listening. Damien Cook on 9 said, when Sam talks, we listen. And what we know about Warrington is, we know still that this talk about cultures persist with Warrington. There's a lot of talk over the Dowell Powell tenure. And it's like I said to, I can't remember who I was talking to, it might have been Gary Chambers actually off camera, where I said the thing about the likes of a Gary Chambers, the things about a Dowell Powell, if you're a Sean Wayne at Wigan and you're coming through, the amount of work he's done in the academy, Matt Pete's a perfect example of that. He's come through the Wigan system. When he hits the dressing room of the first team, there's quite a few players already in that dressing room that know of him from the academy stroke down the run. And they bring with them that gravitas that Wigan through and through. You talk about it all the time. I talk about it. Saying tells me it's a machine. It's a machine. They're part of that machine. Warrington haven't got a machine. Gary Chambers is very quick to say he wants to create a machine. He's very clear that, as his director of rugby role, it's his responsibility to actually deserve to come through. Yeah. We've always brought coaches in from the outside. We always have. Steve Price was unknown to most people in this country before he came over. You looked about Justin Albrook, Kristen Wolfe, Madge McGuire. All of these had not done much in the NRL before they came over here. Sam Burgess, for me, if he wants to be NRL, if he wants to be South Sydney Rabbitohs head coach, it has to go well at Warrington. It's a massive gamble. Talking about Warrington, you're talking about Sam Burgess. It's a massive gamble for Sam Burgess. By all accounts, he's putting loads of effort in terms of dossiers. He wants to know about progression plans of the young players. He said how he's sleeping, he doesn't know. He was absolutely raving about his attention to detail and what he's going to do. One thing we do know is when Sam Burgess walks into that changing room day one, every single one of those players don't have to go on Wikipedia, doesn't have to go onto YouTube. They know Sam Burgess.
Yeah, and that's why I said I'm glad I've had a week to reflect and not had a knee-jerk reaction, which might have happened kind of last Tuesday. And I think he has to be given a chance. We've got to give him a chance. And like you say, he's the best forward, probably the best prop forward of his generation.
Of his generation, yeah. I mean, for him to do what he did in the NRL, I mean, it's that'd be a debate. Moz and
I've seen this debate on social media.
Massive debate. Maybe we'll leave that for when we get into the playoffs and the games start to reduce. We have time for a debate. We might bring that one up and have a chat about Moz and Burgess.
Moz was a trailblazer. Yeah. Sam Burgess benefited from that. I think is probably the most political answer I can give at this moment in time.
The grand final performance, mate, was colossal.
Yeah,
colossal.
And Sam Burgess with a broken cheekbone.
That's what I'm saying. The grand final.
Yeah,
it was absolutely colossal. That.
Yeah, colossal. And gets man of the match, player of the match.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'll wrap my head between now and next week, but as a as a player on the biggest stage, you struggle to think of a performance. There will be, but as I sit here now, that I remember watching that, and I was just like, wow, it was just it was just colossal. Anyway,
he has an aura about him, and obviously the younger players, it'll benefit. I think will benefit the younger players when they see Sam Burgess walk through the door. They'll think, wow, this guy's a legend, and he's going to be coaching us for the next 2. I hope that he's here for more than 2 years.
Well, I think if he doesn't win, if he doesn't win it, and Warrington, persists with Sam Burgess, because it depends on what happens. But I don't think Sam Burgess will want a minimum of a Challenge Cup, minimum. Yeah. He will not want. There's no way that he goes back to Australia without silverware, because for me, he needs to. Because you look at Albrook and Maguire and these people who've come over and done the Saints job and gone back, that they've gone back because of trophies, because of what they've done. Very few coaches have left British Super League or European Super League, whatever you want to call it, without a trophy and head coach in the NRL.
Steve Price went back with a trophy. Steve Price went back with 3 final appearances.
I went back coach.
Went back as an assistant coach. He came over with New Zealand, assistant coach of New Zealand for the World Cup. Steve Price went back with a trophy. Hopefully, Sam Burgess
can do the same. Yeah, it's massive.
I would like to think that maybe 2 years is a minimum that we'll have Sam Burgess if he does well.
I agree, mate. I agree.
But I think there's been a lot of final points on it. Lots of negativity about it. Lots of negativity from Warrington fans. I think we need to get behind him now, and we need to support the appointment and 100%. Be positive about it. Definitely be positive about it.
And in the interim, we've got to get behind Gary Chambers and Richie Marshall. Look, it's still game on. I said this to Chambers. No matter what anybody thinks, this is the same Warrington team now that went 7 from 7. McKayle's back, and let me tell you, McKayle, to do what he did against Catalan, I've only been 24, 48 hours. Believe me.
Yeah.
Wait until he steps out at Edinburgh. I mean, McKayle coming back is a massive bonus for Warrington Wolves. Right, this is the action that's on. Whilst we go through this, Greg, just take your view on this, because this is really now starting to irritate me. As a man that is obviously, because of your girls and what you do from a journalistic perspective, massive in terms of women's game in this country. What are you making of Sky covering NRL women's games on the scale that they have since the start of the NRLW, and yet they just do not show any of the British Super League at all?
I think it's fantastic that we are getting Women's Rugby League on TV.
Yeah.
I think, Sky, we stop virtue signalling. Get behind the women's game. Get behind all the women's games. You show women's cricket. You show women's football. You're showing netball. You're showing other women's sports, and quite rightly, because those sports deserve that recognition and that coverage. But also get behind the women's game in this country as well. They show Women's Rugby Union. So show Women's Rugby League. There's Warrington against Leeds on Sunday as a curtain raiser to the game.
Cameras are already there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're not, are they?
No, they're not. But the thing is, and I don't particularly, I think the clubs are as much to blame in some respect, or a lot of the clubs. I think what we should do is we should line the women's fixtures up with the men's game, and we should have all the women's games as curtain raisers to the men's games.
I completely
every single one.
And then the likes of Sky and whoever else is going to be showing coverage. Considering that was supposed to be out at the end of July. Anyway, but yeah, you're right. And then there's no excuse for Sky not showing at least a women's game minimum.
Even if it's just the highlights, even if it's just the tries. I think the clubs now have got to. They've got to back it. It's almost as if sometimes it's almost as if they've been forced into having a women's team. That's the attitude you get sometimes from some clubs. I'm not saying all. St Helens, Leeds, York have been fantastic in promoting the women's game, as have a lot of other clubs around the country. But let's line up the women's fixtures with the men's fixtures, and let's have double headers. You get Man United women against Man City women at Old Trafford.
Well, I think as well. I think as well, mate. And you've heard me say this time and time again. I'm like a broken record. If you want to grow the women's game, exactly what you're saying, get it on before the men's game and make the beer half price, and people will flood into the ground.
Yeah.
Because if they can buy a pint cheaper in the ground than in the pub outside and watch a game of women's rugby league,
exactly,
they will do so, and that's how you grow it. Because what we have seen, we saw it in the Challenge Cup final, Saints against Leeds, and we've seen it whenever Sky have shown it. I mean, the Nines. I mean, obviously, as you know, I've gone and saw a bit of the Nines rugby league as well. One, I know that you're all over it, and I know that they're always entertaining games.
Yeah, they're good games. It's not. It's a really, really good standard of rugby league.
Yeah, I agree with you,
I encourage anybody to go along and when there's a women's game on, go and watch it. Absolutely. Honestly, you will be gobsmacked at the high standard of the game.
Spot on.
You'll be absolutely. You'll back me up on that, Dave. You've been to a few games.
I have, yeah.
You know, it's not. It is a great standard of sport. It really is good. It's fantastic, and it's brutal. It is brutal. There's no backward steps taken. It's brutal.
No, it is. You're spot on, mate. You're spot on.
But yes, come on. Next season, Super League teams with a women's rugby league team.
Got to be done, mate.
Line your fixtures up and have double headers every week.
And don't get me wrong, if you want to see how good the women's game can be, we are behind the Aussies. We know that in terms of what they're producing in terms of the women's game. So if you've not seen a women's game, perhaps this is the week you want to go and do it. There's plenty of women's games on Sky this week. You'll see there, it kicks off on Friday. New Zealand Warriors taking on the Manly Sea Eagles, of course, getting now into the business end of the season as well. In the NRL, the Parramatta Eels taking on the Sydney Roosters. Then, of course, the biggie. Where are you going to be at 7:30 on Friday? There's only one place to be. Oh, yes, if you're not at the game, get up, get your beers in, wakey cast.
Do you know what? I'm genuinely looking forward to that game.
Mate,
I can't wait for it.
Mate,
I wish it was on Thursday. Oh,
mate, dare I suggest a little gathering, sir? But anyway, we'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah,
Saturday the 19th. Saturday the 19th of August, there you can see women's games galore for you. North Queensland Cowboys against the Sharks, then the Tigers against the Dragons, then the Gold Coast against Sydney Roosters, before Gold Coast Titans taking on Penrith Panthers. Penrith looking into just purring away. Penrith Panthers, incredible team. And then, of course, Lee against Catalan. On paper, should be a belter, an absolute belter. Big question, can Lee back up? We'll find out on Saturday. Then, of course, Sunday, more women's rugby league. The Knights take on the Broncos and the Raiders take on the...
And, mate, don't forget the wheelchair final on Sunday as well.
Wheelchair final on Sunday as well. Thank you.
What a great game the wheelchair game is.
Mate,
that is
without doubt, mate, for me,
brutal.
The World Cup, mate, biggest highlight for me was wheelchair rugby league. I thought it was fantastic. So absolutely right there. Well, there you go. We got to an hour and a half. We normally do. There it is. We hope you've enjoyed the chat. We hope that you've enjoyed the debate. Thanks very much indeed for getting involved in the chat. As always, the round 23. God, where's the season going? Round 23 fixtures will be uploaded for predictions on Sunday, as always. In the sheds, we'll be back, as you know. That'll be still coming throughout the week. Me and Greg will be back here next week, 8 o'clock, as always, for Super League Raw Weekly. Every game this week has got something riding on it. It's the way it should be. We are having a phenomenal 2023 in Super League. We're loving every minute of it. We know you are. Greg, until next week, sir, go well.
See you later, boys and girls.
And we will
Thanks for joining us.
We have a little bit of a change in terms of top performance because that Saints Huddersfield game, Mr. Wellesby, is rising up the charts. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.
See you, everyone. Take care.